Hi everyone, I'm going to show you really quickly how you can use PixieBrix to pass specific data to analyze with ChatGPT. What I mean by that is, there might be some situations where you want to ask ChatGPT to answer a question or recommend something, and it might be very specific knowledge that it can't access on the internet or just from its knowledge. It may be very information specific to your company or your use case, your industry, something like that, and you wanted to be able to query that information and make a suggestion. A good example is this. I'm part of a Slack community where when people join, we like to welcome them with specific welcome messages. And so someone might post something like this that says their name, some of their interests, where they're from, things like that. And we have a bunch of channels in this Slack group. So you can see, I've got them all listed here in a spreadsheet. There's literally hundreds of channels. And so coming up with a recommendation of what channels are good for them might be kind of tough if I'm just scrolling through this list. So I want to ask ChatGPT to analyze this specific list and compare this intro to make a recommendation about what might make sense for them. And you can see how I use PixieBrix to do that by running this mod. So it's called draft welcome message and effectively grabs their name. I can add a custom comment, but then what it's doing under the hood is it's actually looking at that list of data in the spreadsheet and saying what channels would be good for them based on this introduction, rather than just saying across the whole internet, or across all of the things I could ever possibly think of to do, what would be good channels. And so the way this works under the hood is, right click, inspect. Let me show you draft OIT welcome message. And so the way that this works is basically I'm using Google Sheets to host all this information. And I'm basically saying grab all of the array of that data of Google Sheets. And you can see it's going to return over here. Let me just actually run the mod once again so you can see. Let me select some text so you can see what it's doing under the hood. Draft welcome message. So now we can see it running here. So you see, it managed to get an array of all of those channels in here. So I can see all of the different channels that we have and what we might do with that. And then I'm using this JQuery to reformat it a little bit so that this is an actual array of all the channels rather than an array of just a bunch of objects. And so this is what I'm going to pass to ChatGPT. So here's how I do that. I've got to create chat response with ChatGPT here in PixieBrix. And I'm basically defining a message as a system. You're an AI Slack channel recommender. Given a message describing someone and their interests, recommend Slack channels from the following list of channels and nothing else. And so this is where I pass it the list of channels. And I'm using this syntax to say, hey, take everything from that array, put it all together. Here's one big string. Here's one big set of data for you to look at very specifically to answer my question. I'm giving a little bit more details about how exactly to respond to it and giving it some examples there. And you can see this is how it might actually look and how it might recommend a channel. And so I'm able to do this where it can actually recommend channels that exist in our Slack space rather than having to worry about, how does it know which channels we have? Well, I'm able to specifically tell it, and you can do this with a bunch of use cases, whether it's your knowledge base or whether it's some other like FAQs or something that you have stored in a Google Sheet. Whatever you want to do, this is how you're able to connect it or pass it to ChatGPT with PixieBrix. Hope this helps, and if you have any questions, hop in the community. I'm happy to show you how to do it with your data.